Welcome to the Growth Lab, a trusted space for parents navigating their child's developmental journey. I'm Luba, a speech-language pathologist, myofunction therapist, child and family advocate, and mama of 3. And for the last 15 years, I've worked with more than 150,000 children and their families, helping parents understand what they're seeing, what it means, and how to move forward with confidence. This podcast is for parents who want clear, credible guidance when information feels overwhelming or decisions feel heavy. Here, we break down speech, feeding, breathing, learning differences, attention, IEPs, and more in practical, easy to understand ways along trusted experts. My goal is simple, and it's to help you feel informed, supported, and confident as you advocate for your child. You're in the right place, so let's begin. Welcome back to the Growth Lab podcast. I'm your host, Luba, and today we are joined by a busy bee, a beautiful, bright bee. We're going to tell you all about her. Her name is Jamie. Jamie, say hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And Jamie is the founder of Be Bright Therapy and the founder of an amazing nonprofit called Wordwise Speech Therapy Foundation. And today she's going to tell us all about her journey, how she got here, how she stays motivated, and all the cool stuff she's working on. So Jamie lives at the intersection of heart, access, and action. She is a speech-language pathologist, an entrepreneur, and a nonprofit founder who is deeply committed to expanding access to early childhood communication support, especially for families and children who are often overlooked. She's the founder of Be Bright Therapy, a pediatric speech therapy and early intervention agency, and Wordwise Speech Therapy Foundation, a nonprofit focused on empowering families, supporting underserved children, and uplifting professionals who serve them. With over a decade of clinical experience, Jamie blends evidence-based therapy with practical, family-centered care and has built systems that don't just treat children, but strengthen communities. Today, we're talking about her journey, the decision to build both a nonprofit and a for-profit, and challenges that she's navigated along the way, and the changes she's most passionate about making in early intervention and pediatric care. Jamie, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Wow, you made me sound so good.
You're so official. Now, I love to do a formal intro because I feel like we just don't get that pat on the shoulder, pat on the back, and you deserve it. So congrats for all of your accolades, all of your wonderful accomplishments. And tell us a little bit about Be Bright Therapy, what kind of population you serve, what do you see day to day?
Cool. So Be Bright Therapy is the for-profit leg of what I do. We do quite a lot of early intervention. So we are primarily focused in New York. We are a early intervention agency with the state of New York. We mostly provide speech therapy. We're trying to branch out, so fingers crossed, and toes too. Trying to make sure that we can, there's so many requirements that go into becoming an agency. It's not something, at least in New York State, that you just start your practice and decide you want to be an early intervention agency. It's a state payer, so you have to comply with everything that the state says. So we're looking to expand into that. It's been quite a journey getting the early intervention stuff off the ground, but thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God it worked out for us.
I may know a thing or two about it. Just a thing.
Just a thing or two about early intervention. It's a joy. It's really, we do it for the kids because the kids are really so fun.
Yes.
I had a passion for early intervention, which is why I wanted to do this particular service delivery. For me, the kids needed so much help. The families needed so much support. And it really gives you a sense of, wow, I'm really actually making such a difference. The kids make so much progress so quickly. And for me, it was very rewarding. So that's kind of where I started to build the early intervention side of things. We also do preschool, so we're getting into that, like our CPSE contracts, and we do.
Are you guys brick and mortar too, or do you just go out for early intervention to the schools and the homes?
Yeah, we have a small brick and mortar, and we see insurance-based clients there, private pay. I would say like 95% of what we do is in the home. We do have a telehealth arm as well, so I guess we could include that in the homes as well, because we have a lot of, it is in the home. We're not there.
You're in all the avenues.
I'm trying my best. We're very, it's very spread out. You know what it was to me is just through the, it's hard when you have the nonprofit and the for-profit business, because you see the gaps with your work with the nonprofit and you're like, okay, let me what can I do? So it kind of makes me, well, I can help, I can help. And I try to help as many people as I can. The big thing that we were noticing in early intervention was rural counties just had zero providers, none. When I was still treating, I've mostly stopped treating. I would have counties reach out to me and say, literally, but in tears, service coordinators in tears, please, I have 10 kids. I cannot get them service. They are going to age out. We are doing them such a disservice. There's just zero providers in the entire county. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And, that's it. So I try not to say no to any of the counties that reach out, and really try my best to help everybody,
How did the beginning picture look? So you got your degree as a speech pathologist. Where did you get your master's, by the way?
I got it at LIU Post.
Okay. I went to Hofstra originally. I did not get my speech master's there. I fell in love with linguistics there. I was going there for broadcast journalism.
Hello.
But I ended up going back for my master's at Nova Southeastern and doing the online program there in Florida.
Nova Southeastern.
But I passed the LIU stop on the train all the time.
On the old tour.
LIRR.
Is Nova Southeastern, where is that? Is that Lakeland?
It's in Davie, a little, I don't know which direction, but it's close to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. I was thinking of a different university. I'm like, wait, I think I know that one. Okay. So yeah, I'm Long Island girl, and, did the whole going away to college. I went to SUNY Cortland, and then I came home and I said, all right, let me stay on Long Island. So got my master's at Post, loved it, loved the program. Something that I really like to talk about, though, the road to speech therapy and speech pathology wasn't easy for me. Undergrad was really tough. I did not do well. I had just so much going on.
This program is hard. People don't know. I cried the entire master's program.
Oh my God, the devastation. And, frankly, something that I really like to speak out against is the way that people are supposed to prepare us for these programs. It's, I remember hearing in undergrad, if you get a B-, you're going to try to get into grad school at a B-. Now when you think a bit about it, all the, things that come to light afterwards, did I not know what I was talking about, or was I not supporting my own neurodivergence? What was I doing here? Were these systems set up to help me? And the answer was no. So undergrad was really tough for me. I almost did not get into grad school at all. I applied to so many schools, got waitlisted from every single one the first round.
Gosh, you got to fight your way in here.
I worked tooth and nail to be a speech therapist. I did. I took a year off. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just work and maybe go back to school for something else. My grades weren't abysmal, but it was, it was the A-B. I was a B student, and that was not good enough for so many programs. Yeah. So finally, I got LIU to give me a chance. I went in, met with the clinic director. I will give that woman credit till the day I die. Dr. Joyce Rubenstein, if you're listening, thank you. You're the best. So she took a chance on me and no one else did. So I have such a place in my heart for Long Island University. They saw what no one else saw. And, I wasn't the clinician.
Look at me now. Look at me now.
Look what I can do. I'm not the clinician that's going to sit there and do 100 kids on a caseload in a school. That's not what I'm going to do.
And then just forget. Yeah, you're so much more. Oh, that's amazing. So much more, yeah. Now, what were the early days like? So where did you work after you graduated?
I worked everywhere, every possible setting. The only place I did not work was
But that's the best way to find yourself as a and I recommend that to every student. I'm like, now, like, go volunteer and go to the skilled nursing and go to the school and see where you feel at home, because later you're going to be like rushing. You want to work. You're already done school. How are you going to know where you belong?
You just don't know. And there's a thing that I've seen on Instagram circling around. I think I actually posted it back in the day when I graduated. It was like, congratulations, you got your master's. Congratulations on being taught 25% of what you need to know.
Literally.
So much.
Oh my God. You couldn't be speaking truer. It's so true. It's so true. I remember like applying the knowledge the first time and being like, oh, like I read this and now I have to just like, okay, so this is how it works. And it's just such a cool feeling to do it in the real world.
It is. It's so fun. I mean, the clinical fellowship that I did was kind of all over the place. I was in New York City. I was, doing my little city girl thing, having, oh, look at me, we in the city. But then I was like, oh, I'm actually not getting paid enough to be a cool city girl. Like, oops, false.
Yeah.
So I worked in schools. I worked in early intervention in New York City. I did so much there, and then that was probably about 2 years. And then I decided to go back to the island, and I worked with, at one point I was working early intervention, CPSE, skilled nursing, and adult Medicare Part B, home health, all at the same time. And it was fun. I really enjoyed that. Like,
you did the jiggy juggle.
That's one of the coolest things I think about our field is, like, I could go work with adults in the morning and kids in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Pigeonholed into anything. So I actually really loved the adults so much. It's a toss-up between the grandmas and grandpas and the babies, who I love the most. It was just so much fun. So basically everything that one could possibly do except for acute care in a hospital, I did it. And nothing really fit. Like, I loved the populations, but I realized that, the same thing about me not really being the best student, I wasn't really the best employee. Ungovernable. So I just decided this is probably COVID time. Around then, I'm working for a telehealth company. There were so many things that I saw that didn't make sense. And even still to this day, as a business owner, don't make sense that the owner did. And I was just like, why do you have to be so mean? Like, you can
There's a lot of that. I remember being in skilled nursing and they would stand behind me and dictate exactly what my note had to say. And I'm like, I don't want to work somewhere like this.
No.
Well, like, I get it. There's things you have to do for insurance. We get that. Administratively, like, how it has to look.
Sure.
But like the feeling of like that heart-led therapist is lost there because it was so tough. So like matter of fact, It
was, and it didn't really, for me, something that I stand by as someone who fought so hard to get into this field and get this degree is that, and this is something that I pass along to the younger girls that work for me, the clinical fellows, you are the professional.
Right.
Your name is on that student loan document. Your name's on that degree. Like, nobody can tell you what to do. Don't let anybody tell you that what you're doing is not correct. Of course, you learn new things. You can't know everything, absolutely, but to have somebody hawkeyeing you the whole time, no. So there were so many things that I just didn't love, and I was like, you know what, let me just go and see how I can do it better. And I hope that I am. I think that I am. My girls are very happy, I think. So
how many clinicians do you have now versus, and like how many years have you been open?
We have been, okay, so even that's like a funky road, because I was just doing solo practitioner.
Yeah.
So long.
You had a small room or something.
Yep. A small little room, just me. I did a lot of telehealth then too. It was still pandemic time, so it was cool to do, your telehealth on the side, and we did that. Then I was doing in-home just by myself, single practitioner living my best life. And I'm like, hey, all right, this is working out pretty good. It started for me because I was a independent provider with early intervention. So that's how the agency, kind of came to be. Because I started with them first, going into homes, doing whatever, and I'm like, this is scalable. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, how do I get somebody to do this so that I don't have to? Because part of the private practice thing is you're doing everything yourself at the beginning. Everything. And all the therapy and all the billing and everything. So Lord in heaven, I was just like, okay, I'm done. Thank you very much. This is a lot. So we started out like that. Maybe I did that for about 2.5 years. I was just by myself until I really was just like, I need to hire and do. So since then, this is probably like 2023, we started getting, I started putting the things in place to move over into the agency level and started being like the group practice more so than like solo. So got the PLLC going, got my early intervention contract with New York State. New York State decided to throw a big monkey wrench in everything and stopped paying people for several months. I don't know if you remember that whole fiasco, but
I lived my own in Pennsylvania because it happened twice to me now. We're in a different boat today. But the first time I thought I was going to go under, but it was 7 months. Because first it was like just 2 months. We're like, fine, 2 months. So we continue running, and owners eat last. The business eats last. Oh, yeah. We continue running before it's like 4.5 months. Then it's 6 months. And I'm like, oh God, am I going to the bank to take out money? How are we paying people? 7th month, I'm on the phone with the state. Guys, what are you doing? I can't do it anymore. I can't swing this. This is a lot of months. You promised 2 months. So
this is a lot of months.
Parents, if the IEP process feels confusing or overwhelming, you no longer have to figure it out alone. The Confident IEP Parent ebook gives you practical tools and guidance to help you advocate for your child with clarity and confidence. Visit theconfidentiepparent.com to get your copy today.
Yeah, it was not a good time, but survived the fire.
Thank God. And we all know how hard it is to get business loans as women. So
oh my God.
Impossible. Can't get it.
People ask that a lot, young professionals. Oh, did you have to get a business loan? And I'm like, because I started solo. I didn't have so much overhead. I was able to just make and put in. So I never really needed to take a loan. And try to do it like that, ladies. Try to do it. And gentlemen, if you're out there.
Yes, because you're not going to get one.
And you won't get
You're not going to get one.
Well, now that being a speech therapist is cool, maybe they will. It's like a thing now.
Maybe.
That's so
my bank always told me you need to be in business for at least 2 years. And I'm like, okay, but I've been in business for 5. And they're like, well,
and I can't get it.
Doesn't count. It doesn't count. We want to see you on the books, PLLC, for 2 years. And then they're like, oh, here's 10 grand. Okay.
What am I going to do with this 10 grand? Yeah, that's great.
I can pay half my staff. Thank you. Very much appreciated. But.
Did you have any early experiences when you started as a speech pathologist or in the time that you were setting up your practices with a child or family or a system that had stayed with you?
In a good way or a bad way? Good way?
You can pick how you want to answer that.
I'll do a good way. Let's be positive.
Yes, I'm all about the positive vibes.
So my first ever private client, I still see. He is the only child that I see on my caseload. He's my little
You kept yourself a VIP winner, huh?
One. Everybody needs one. You need one VIP. He's my VIP. It was amazing, really, because I've had the privilege of knowing this boy since he's about 3.5. He's now 9. I just turned 9. And it's been, and I've only ever seen him through telehealth. This is the amazing thing. Only ever through telehealth. I'm working with him. It's early, it starts off like an early language thing. He's a little delayed language. He's very unintelligible. And I'm like, okay, so whatever. We're doing our little speech intervention. And I'm just starting to pick out these errors that were just so they didn't fit into any boxes. They were so inconsistent. It was just like, we're even with a year of, early speech sound correction and intelligibility work, I was still getting nothing. I was still getting these like errors. He was still making errors that we thought we corrected, and we were working for so long. And I'm like, something's not right. Like there's something more than just a simple language disorder or, speech sound disorder. Blah, blah, blah. Turns out I said to the mom, I'm like, listen, I'd really like to evaluate him for apraxia. It's rare, but I think that he's got something else going on here. And, this is a mom who sought out private therapy because he didn't qualify for early intervention. He didn't qualify for preschool. I don't know how. He didn't qualify for anything, but he wasn't qualifying. She's like, I know something's wrong. Turns out, yes, I obviously I didn't know anything about how to diagnose apraxia. I took all my little continuing ed classes just for this kid, just to learn all my training, just to learn how to diagnose it for this kid. I do it, and it's like, without a doubt.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So I say to mom, I'm like, listen, like, this is a very rare thing. It's not, you're gonna battle your entire life trying to get him the proper services. He stayed with me, like I said, for so long now. I've gone through just about everything with this family, from, working with him directly to, at times, working just with mom and being like, okay, this is how you advocate for him in school. This is what you say. They're going to try not to put apraxia on the IEP. Stamp your feet. Do not get out of that room until they put apraxia on the IEP. He needs this accommodation. He needs that accommodation. They weren't giving him enough services. For apraxia, you need a high intensity of services. You can't.
It drives me that, like what you're saying, and this would be such an aha for me too, and I see it and I live it and I do it. It's been over a decade and same story, and nothing changes because you're like, do you pay from your own pocket, people? Like, give the people what they need. If the mom is telling you, listen to the mom. We didn't see it. You came there one time for 1 hour. What did you not see? How could you possibly see it?
It's crazy. And if this mom, and I just think about this mom, she was fortunate enough to be tenacious and fortunate enough to be able to afford private therapy.
Right. But what about the people who can't?
Yeah, they just sit and they're like, oh, okay, it's fine. We had to fight to get this child taken out of a 1211 special education classroom. He is fine. He does not need a 1211. He needs to be in gen ed.
Oh my God.
Gen ed with.
So we struggle and we fight. It's almost like sometimes there's kids who don't need, and then there's people pushing them. And then the kids who do need, they can't get enough. Or like I had a mom recently, the boy is struggling. He's now 4.5 or 5. I don't remember exactly his age, but she said every year in the kindergarten, they're like, test him in for an IEP, IFSP, test him in. He has autism. He has autism. She's now tested him 2 times for autism. It's not, he doesn't have, by numbers, he doesn't. She's like, maybe something's wrong. Like, I'm okay. She's like, I'm accepting. But she's like, I can't like make the paper say he has it. But the kicker is that they want him to get care. They want him to have autism to get the care.
Right.
Just give the kid the services. If he needs help and he doesn't have autism yet, maybe test him when he's 5.5, whatever. 6, they're just torturing these people. And I just don't understand what's so challenging. Make her the same plan as if he did have the autism and let him get care and see if that helps. What are you withholding?
No,
you know?
Because why not? Like,
who's rational in this?
I can't.
But it's like, I totally get you. I get it.
Get it. It's the same thing. And that's why I, like, my claws are in this little guy. I'm like, nope, you're staying with me. I will keep you. Because even like they did the same thing. They wanted to say the same thing. Oh, he has autism. I'm like, all right, let me read the report. They send over the report. Everything says inconclusive. He has apraxia. He cannot reliably give you a verbal answer to something.
It's nuts.
You're testing him verbally.
Is the reason that you saw when families can't afford care why you went into the nonprofit? So like, what was that aha moment? Like, why?
So, same kid. I was starting to just get annoyed. I was like, really? This kid needs, like, at first it was really, he doesn't qualify for early intervention? Like, okay. And then it was, really? He doesn't qualify for CPSE? And then it was, really? You want to tell me he has autism, but you haven't qualified him for the last
just
year? Horrible.
Mind-boggling things.
It just sets my teeth on edge. So, with that kid, it was all pro bono. I wasn't going to charge mom for any of it, but I was like, listen, this is what you need to do. You need to get an advocate. You need to get an attorney. You need to do this. You need to do that, blah, 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 blah. She did it, and now magically 5 times a week speech. So magically, because the attorney got involved.
I think it really does come down to how hard you're going to fight, and not every parent can, which is why we recommend the advocate and the attorney. And yes, those are different things. People are always like, it's the same, right? No, it's not the same. It's so beautiful that you were able to give yourself that opportunity to see it, to welcome it. And you started the nonprofit. So how do you guys work? How do you raise money? Does Be Bright work with Wordwise? Tell me like the dynamic.
Cool. So I do, just to be clean, I keep them totally separate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Be Bright's over here, nonprofit's over here. The nonprofit is not a very large nonprofit operation. We do a lot of pro bono stuff, like I said, a lot of like community education. We make resources for families and parents. They can call and ask us any questions. We also, all right, let me back up. The nonprofit has a couple of different arms, right? So the parent advocacy education piece is kind of over here. We did a lot of advocacy work with New York deciding to stop paying everybody for, however long they did. I think that was probably about like similar to you, 6, 7, almost 8 months. So a lot of like boots on the ground stuff. I went and sat there and, drew so much attention to myself that I ended up on the news. It was actually really funny. I could like laugh about it now, but they were just not listening to us at all. It was around Christmas time last year, I think. So we had arranged for our local county representatives to like speak on this and say, hey, this is an essential service. You guys are dropping the ball. This is not good. You can't do this. And the state was like, yeah, like, sure. We started getting loud. We started getting annoying. It wasn't just me, of course. My company was involved because we're advocates. So I decided to dress up as the Grinch because they were stealing services from the babies at Christmas time. So here I am. My hair is green. I think did I have green face makeup? I might have.
This is good. We're gonna have to link this into the picture into the bottom of the podcast.
Oh my god, I might die of embarrassment, but that's okay. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care because it got people to like turn and look and be like, What are you doing? Why? Who's that? Like, why are you dressed up like that? They invited me to speak, and then I hit them with just facts, knowledge. Like, listen, I'm not an idiot. I will make a spectacle so that you pay attention to me. But then here I am. I will speak very eloquently. Spoke eloquently, green face makeup and hair and everything. But they paid attention. And, while we're not 100%, we're much better. They started listening to providers, inviting us into sessions. There's also like a group now that we joined as part of a bunch of agency providers. So blah, blah, blah. We do that at the state level. And then we also do at the nonprofit, the other part of what was so important to me was not just advocating for the kids, the families, the person who's really last in this whole equation is us. It's the provider.
Right. Oh, the providers. Oh my God.
We're the ones that are last. I need you. In Bucks County where I live, I'm getting a meeting right now with Harrisburg because they just cut EI funding for deaf and blind babies. Oh.
what are you doing?
They don't need EI.
Can you, they wrote that for years, they were carrying like the weight of having to pay the difference to the providers, and now it's total $200,000. Go to the state, and the state's going to use that money and build a basketball court at the next park, and instead of giving it to these kids, and you're just going to cut it. They just cut. No, they closed the thing.
That's
you can no longer. And there's families so upset and so affected, and I'm so upset. When I saw this, I was like, How can you? These are the people who need it the most.
They don't care. They don't care.
I was devastated. So I might have to borrow your Grinch outfit when I go.
Please do, because it works.
But imagine if I, could connect with someone like you and be like, hey, there's providers who could use a couple extra bucks because the state wants to close this. So essentially, like, you offset that with this organization, right?
Well, what we
That's
do,
the idea.
What we do is a little different, actually. So, like, here's the providers, right? So I'm like, all right, how can I do something for the providers? Like, something doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with the eye, because I can't. Our hands are so tied.
So tied.
The reimbursement is so low to begin with. It's just brutal. I mean, it's brutal. What I do is I have my passion for entrepreneurship, right? So it's more of me telling the providers, like, hey, if you don't like it, go start your own practice. Go do your own thing. You don't have to be, putting up with this, nonsense. Nobody's respecting you, right? So go start your own thing. It's unfortunate that we can't get all the kids and the kids who need it the most, but we can get some. And there are families who can pay privately. There are families who you take their insurance and, you'll do whatever you can do to get linked up with them. So what we do is we run a nationwide database of private practices. So if you are looking for a speech therapist, like a family's looking for a speech therapist in such and such a state, they put it in, and here's the private practices that are,
that's amazing.
that signed up, and there's no cost to either the family for looking or the therapist for listing. So it's small things, but that's the thing about nonprofits. You don't have to be a massive organization to do good and to make change. You can do a nonprofit that focuses only on your community. You can do something like you had suggested, like, okay, these providers are struggling. We don't have the representation. What do we do? Here's how you can do this. Here's how you can get involved, motivated, this, that. There's so many things that you can do with a nonprofit, and there's a misconception there, because it sounds like you should not make money in a nonprofit, but you can and you should. And
you're doing the work to help others.
Yes, you have.
Well, Kidology, my business, opened a nonprofit classroom called the Kidology Thrive Classrooms. So we do work with the state, and we do these classrooms where it's a state-funded classroom, pre-K autistic support, 3 to 5 years old, 2.5 hours, and we do 2 of those classes in our facility at Northeast. So it's been amazing. I love having a board and being able to talk through these things and really find where the need is. But my efforts I want to do more, but I feel like it's a whole job in its own to raise money and throw an event and do whatever it is. Like, what types of efforts do you participate in to raise the funds?
It's really, really hard. But we do have kind of subsidized therapy that pays for some of the work that we do. Listen, we're not making $1 million. I'm not making anywhere near that.
Right.
For me, it's like a labor of love. It's been hard for us to find grants, believe it or not. I don't know if you experience the same thing, but it's hard.
Hard.
Everything is hard. It's so hard. So we've done a lot with, our subsidized therapy work. I've put in my own money to it. So for me, I haven't really had the bandwidth to focus on it so much. I do know other people who have had more success with kind of fundraisers and things like that, and donations. since a lot of our work that helps families and kids directly is educational and advocacy related, we don't have a lot of overhead either. So it really doesn't cost us too much. So I couldn't really tell you exactly what I do in terms of generating money. It happens, thank God. But
yeah, thank God. Well, it sounds like, if I wanted to look further into that, or anyone else out there does, it sounds like applying for grants and expressing what you're raising for. And there's so many ways to help. And especially when you're in a position like this, where you have access to so many families, and all you and I and people like us want is really to see the children succeed. And this is the future. People miss that. Like, if you're going to decline the blind and deaf babies today, what will happen in 10, 15, 20 years from now? Nobody's thinking clearly about the reality, why we're here. Because these kids that are coming, they need our help.
They do. And you know what? You can, I know, I can't. If you had like a clear idea, like let's say you are really passionate about the deaf and blind babies and, the early intervention being cut in your state, there are bigger nonprofits that help exclusively those populations, and those would be somebody that it's a great idea to partner with them and say, hey, we're a very small nonprofit, and I'm just speaking hypothetically if anybody's listening who wants to go down this road one day. Hey, we're a really small nonprofit. Like this is what's going on in Pennsylvania. We would love if you could help us, give us some suggestions, like who can we get grants from, who can we seek this funding from. It's out there. You just have to know how to get it. And I don't know if you have like on your board like a grant writer or somebody who's experienced with that. I certainly don't. I've applied for several. I did not get
We
them.
also do not, but that is something I'm going to look into now. Tomorrow, my assistant is going to become a grant writer.
They're there. They're out there. And, you can find them and maybe they can help. Or, somebody on the nonprofit board could be an accountant or whatever, like your accountant for your private practice. Hey, I have a nonprofit. Would you like to be part of the board? Sometimes people just like being involved in something that's good. This is a good thing. I'm not making I'm not going to be a millionaire because I have a nonprofit. I'm doing it because I care about something and I want to further it. But it is time consuming. And when you are like me and you started a couple of years ago and you're like, I'm a solo practitioner. I have so much time for my nonprofit. And now you are running an early intervention agency. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, what did I sign up for exactly? That's hilarious. Yeah.
Like, I'm neglecting it. I need to do something about it, But it's hard. It's really hard to juggle and balance so many things. It's fun, but it's definitely challenging fun.
Let's shift gears a little bit to a bit more about like families getting stuck in their day-to-day and their child's difficulties. Do you think there's more that providers can do in terms of supporting their families beyond just the therapy sessions?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. So part of our model is that we have to provide family training and family education. So for us, our sessions are about 45 minutes. So you're going to work with the kid for half an hour, fine and great, but you're going to also devote, as the therapist, sitting down with the parent. Because, it's a baby. The baby doesn't have 45 minutes of attention span. He can go run and play and do whatever he's going to do. Give me your attention for 15 minutes at the end of the session. And then you sign my note and leave. But what we're doing is, okay, here is what you can do. Here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then the next week we come back, okay, let's check how did you incorporate songs and routines during play? And, how did you do this and how did you do that? Did this work? Did this work? Did that not work? Okay, what? So we kind of get ahead of that by providing the education and the empowerment to the parent and saying, hey, you are the one that is spending the most time with your baby. You can make so much more of a difference than I can. Believe it or not, all it is just me, teaching you. So we kind of build that into our sessions, and I think that that's something that all therapists can easily do. We see these session times, and it's like, okay, a half an hour, right? You get a half an hour session time. That doesn't mean 30 minutes of explicit intervention. That doesn't mean you are sitting there and teaching to, you're going to play bubbles for 5 minutes, and then trucks for 5 minutes.
That's so formal. You know, and I think that like the newer generations of providers do think it's like that. And they are like, what? But the ones that are heart-led providers who have it here first and then get the paper, we get it. And I think if we continue to train these next generations, maybe they won't treat it as such.
Yes. Well,
you got to put your heart in, ladies and gents. You got to put your heart in.
You know, you got to have fun. And that's something that's one of the big things that I teach my clinical fellows is if you are not having fun, that baby's not having fun.
Yes, 100%.
You're not enjoying it because you're sitting here like, oh, beep, beep, look at the clock. Wow, you're not having fun. Baby knows you're not having fun. Babies don't. We all know how babies learn. They learn through play, and you got to get on the ground. You got to be silly. You have to be. The sillier you are, the more effective your therapy is going to be.
When the kids are excited to see you when they're coming back, you're like, you know, you're doing it right. And that for me is always so moving and exciting because I know they are excited to see me. They're ready to work and learn. And that's when we get the progress.
Right.
What kind of ripple effect do you hope that your work will create, not just for children, but for families and professionals that are serving them?
Yeah, so it's everybody, right? So the kids, right? What I want my work to do is for the kids to be able to access these programs because historically it's hard. It's hard, and it's hard for, you know, certain groups of kids to get these services. It's hard for parents who are told by providers or, you know, doctors or whatever, oh, wait and see, or in your case, the state of Pennsylvania, which says, oh, you're deaf and blind, okay, like, see ya, goodbye. You know, for me, getting those kids those services, not taking our foot off the gas when it comes to advocacy with, like, you know, hey, this is really important. It's preventative. It's really what it is preventative medicine. We're preventing. It's so much down the line. Anyway, the parents, what I would love our parents to do is to feel empowered in the way that their kids get therapy. It's such a passive thing. Oh, yeah, my kid's in speech therapy. Okay, well, what are they working on? Well, oh, I don't know. Read that IEP. That's a legal document.
Get involved.
Get involved.
I always counsel parents to that, too. And, like, them understanding IEPs, IFSPs, IEPs, they need to know that it's okay to ask for help because a lot of parents come into it, first timers, first autism, first diagnoses, whatever it is. And for some reason, they feel insecure, rightfully so, I guess. It's new territory, but there's so many people out there willing to help you. I feel like parents, professionals need to do their part in offering, making them comfortable, but parents need to be accepting and know like no one in this space is judging you. We're all just here to help you. And I feel like the faster we can help them come to that realization, the more engaged they'll be, because when you have a consistent parent, your child is going to do that. Your client will do that much better.
Snaps to that, for sure.
Yes.
Something I love to do, I'm like, okay, even if I see a kid privately, with their permission, of course, do you give me your permission to look at your kids' IFSP, IEP? We'll go through it line by line. And most of the parents are like, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Of course, I will translate it for you into normal people language, not,
yes,
IEP language. So you go through it line by line with them. This goal, that goal, why are they working on this? Okay, well, this is why you're having this accommodation. This is why this is happening. Oh, okay. See that like classroom size recommendation? That's not for fun. That's, what it needs to be. So if he's not in that class, then that's a problem, Oh, they told me they didn't, I was counseling a parent not that long ago. Oh, the school told me that they didn't have such and such a classroom for my kid. Well, I got news for you. Either they got to find one or you got to go to a different school.
Right. And this is what I wish for all the parents out there. You guys give up so easy sometimes. I know you're defeated and you're like, well, I don't know what to do. What do I do? But there's, again, like people that are willing to help you, but
Yeah.
don't give up so easily. Ask questions. Why can't I have that room? Well, where's the other room? Are you going to pay for it? You know, you're entitled to answers. You pay taxes, so get what's yours. Get it right.
That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing to say to parents. You know,
guys,
we are New York, Long Island, super high property taxes. You're paying school taxes like out the wazoo. And I'm like, do you enjoy paying $20,000 a year in taxes? And they're like, no. Well, okay. Well, if your kid needs an IEP, I got news for you. You paid for that IEP already.
Yes, so you sure did. Yes, you sure did.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, to tie it back into my little friend, where I was like, you know, not letting go of him because I told Mom, like, listen, they will try, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you're annoying and you say like, hey, listen, I really don't agree with what's going on in the IEP, you're going to be respectful.
They have to listen to you. Yeah.
They have to listen to you. Do not sign an IEP. If you don't agree with what's going on, get an advocate, get an attorney. You know, many parents can't afford it. I understand, like a special education attorney is a lot of money, but it's
timely, like, and especially if you're getting an advocate, people are like, well, an attorney might know better. Not always. An advocate is just as strong, and generally a person in special education who has experience with this type of thing, who will guide you appropriately, but they require a fee because we're sitting with your documents, reviewing and essentially putting up a fight for you.
Yeah, we're still a professional. We're the ones that are. We're going to interpret that for you and tell you, you know, and there's been equally times that I've reviewed some of my family's documents and I'm like, they're doing the right thing. You know, it's not always us versus them. It's all right. Yeah. Reality check. You are getting what you're supposed to get. Yes. This is fair. This is accurate. So, you know, you can lean on people. There are people to help you, you know, and my big thing too is like if something feels wrong, like the gut that it feels wrong, just try to dig a little bit more into it. And you know, especially for any families who maybe English is not their first language.
People.
Yeah. It's very hard to understand what's going on with all of these, and a lot of people, and especially now, they're afraid to make waves. They're afraid to say anything. They're afraid to.
Oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. It's so true.
I can't. But you can is the thing is you can please do your child needs
fight for what's right, and we're here to help you do it.
Yep, fight for what's right. That's the long story short. Fight for what's right. And I went on a tangent, but you had asked about like, you know, providers, like what can providers do? And providers can be that, you know, resource for families. You know, hey, maybe I don't know how to contest an IEP, but I will point you in the right direction, or I'll even use my leverage on social media and say, hey, does anybody know how to do this? Does anybody know an advocate?
There's so much ability to connect with people. So the community needs to step forward when we see somebody in need. And I think that we're so good at doing that. And that's why families do trust us.
Yeah, us especially. You know, we didn't get into this field to be a monster. You know, you got into this field to be.
Oh, I had a monster one time. One of my clinic.
Plenty of them.
We won't go there.
Plenty of them. You know, or in their mind, they don't think they're monsters, but, you know, whatever. It's. Normal people don't get into this field.
Oh man. Jamie, you're such a good time. I really feel so aligned with you. Your work shows what's possible when clinical expertise meets compassion and when advocacy and courage are present in an individual. Thank you for building systems that help children and help their families find their voice, and building confidence among our next generation and walking alongside them. You're really deserving, you know, like of these applause. I probably, like myself, you don't hear it enough. So you're doing a great job. And thanks for all your support and work and good efforts with both of your companies. If there's people out there who are interested in getting in contact with you or learning more about your businesses, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. Straight Up SLP is my handle. I try not to be too busy, like businessy on there. It's more like,
You're like, I'm just a human being.
I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just a fun girl. And, what I really like to do is show other SLPs that, like, hey, you really don't need to be so serious. You can be a good time, and you could be a lighthearted person and still make such a difference and still achieve so much and, be successful and use that to help others. You really can. So
and I also think, just from our earlier conversations when I first started to chat with you, is also like, in our lives, like, we've overcome things. And I think that that's why we step forward so much for people. Because people are always like, why do you care so much? I just do. I don't know.
You know what it is because I wanted somebody to care about me. And
oh my God, you couldn't have said it clearer. Yes.
A lot of people who are really fierce advocates have kind of been on the other side. They've had their voices silenced. They've experienced hardship. To me, speaking as someone who has had a terrible time at one point or another, it gives you such a different perspective on things, and it makes you really, all right, well, is it really that important that I do X, Y, Z? No, but is it really important that I give somebody else a voice? Yeah, like, that's more important to me than, like, making my boss happy. Sorry, but, sorry. Again, not a good employee. Sorry, I'm not a good employee.
Well, good thing you're not one then.
Good thing I'm not one, because for me, justice will always kind of come first.
I believe in fairness, and if things are not fair, it's not okay with me. So.
I can't do it. Yeah, exactly. Do it. I will stomp my feet and be a bad employee if something's not fair. But whatever.
You're so awesome. I'm so happy to finally get a chance to sit down with you, and I'm sure it won't be the last time. I'll look forward to your next time with me. But thanks for joining us today on the Growth Lab. I'm your host, Luba. Please like and subscribe. And if there's anyone out there that might benefit from this episode or chatting with me or Jamie, let them know we exist. Shoot them a link to our episode. And thanks so much for joining. See you next time.
Thank you for spending time with us here at the Growth Lab podcast. I really hope this episode was helpful. And if it was, stick around for more episodes by subscribing to the podcast, wherever you're listening. And if you know a fellow parent that could use this episode, share it with them. Follow me on Instagram at Luba Patlak. That's LubaPatlakh for daily advice and resources to keep you informed between episodes. See you next time.